So I met Hannah probably when I was about 15 at a party, and without being, it really was one of those moments when I saw clocked eyes with someone across the room, and I was, and we chatted, and she's incredibly funny, Hannah, and deeply charismatic. And I was like, this is amazing. This is it. And she sat on my knee and asked me to introduce her to this guy across the room. And I was like, fuck you. Anyway, so we were kind of part of the same friend group, but we were never close friends. Whenever we saw each other, there was something alive, and we would be at parties, but we were always in relationships. So it wasn't a close friendship. Many years later, it was known within our group of friends that this chemistry existed, and was it ever going to be acted on? And literally, when I was 30, I think, and I was at a friend's wedding, and Hannah's always late, and she was meant to be one of the kind of bridesmaids or maids of honor. And I was at this wedding in this church, and 10 minutes into the wedding, the door slammed open. And my mate nudged me, and Hannah came running in late to the wedding. And so and that night we got together, and I texted her a couple of days later, and all our friends were like, "At last, why did it take 15 years?" Yeah. And I texted her the next day. No, I left it 2 days, and then she didn't respond. And I was like, "See, I knew it. This fickle quality." And anyway, year went by. This friend of ours, Laura, was like, "Eddie, why did you never get in touch with Hannah?" And I was like, "I did." And I texted her. She said, "What number?" And I said, "This number." And she said, "That's not her number." I know. No. But then it was while I remember it clearly, because I just rehearsed Les Miserables, the movie. And I had 4 days off before we started filming. And I was single. I booked to go to Florence. Texted Hannah on this right number, and I said, "You don't want to go to the theatre, do you?" And she sort of said, "Yeah, let's do that." And we went to the theatre, and that night went out for supper, and it was extraordinary, because it was the first time. It was someone that I'd known for 15 years, knew me for exactly who I was. Anyway, that evening went pretty wonderfully, and I said, drunk later, I was like, "You don't want to go to Florence next week, do you?" And she said, "You don't mean that." And I said, "Well, kind of do." And so the next day I sent my EasyJet booking form. She let me stew for a few hours, and then he sent her booking form. And even then, I knew if this relationship was to have any legs, that we had to meet on the plane rather than at an airport. And I was right, because I got on the plane the next day, and I was sitting next to these 3 nuns and a monk from Ireland. And the plane was absolutely rammed. And there was just one seat next to me free, and the captain was like, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're waiting for one person." And Hannah arrived late, and has remained late for the rest of our relationship.